What's good, everybody? Is when I come back at you another video. So with this video, I'm going to share words to live by, and you can refer to this often whenever you're experiencing really tough times or obstacles. And that idea is that your life story will be the greatest story ever written. Now, I say this because you will be triumphant over all obstacles, over all adversity. And what you need to remember is that this quote will help you during challenging times, because this quote will help put things in perspective, because there will be a day where you'll be older and you'll be able to look back and reflect in your life, and you want your story to be an amazing story. You want your entire life journey to be epic. You want to remember that your life story is going to be, of course, the greatest story ever written, but is going to be an epic story that you are going to tell other people, to help inspire people, to help motivate people, to help people go through tough and challenging times, right? And to also help give people the blueprint on how they can overcome adversity as well. Now, the first thing you need to remember are that your circumstances and your conditions, right? These are, regardless of how they might look or how they might be right now, your conditions and your circumstances are in fact good things. That these are things that are working in your favor. Now, some of you might be scratching your head at that and thinking, why would that be the case, right? If I use an example, someone might be struggling financially and they'll say, hey, how is being broke beneficial to me? Because when you're broke, you can't buy anything, but at least when you have money, you can at least buy something, even if money isn't everything, right? What you need to remember is that, of course, I hear you out, right? Ideally, it's better to have money than to not have anything, right? However, your conditions and your circumstances are actually working in your favor, because they effectively force you to become better if you want to overcome them, right? It is easy for people who are struggling to basically just throw their hands up and give up and say, I can't do this. This is too hard. But once again, you want your life story to be the greatest story ever written. You want it to be something where you look back and, regardless of the obstacles that were thrown your way, you were able to overcome it. And so in those situations, right, you being in a position where you're struggling financially, all that means is that you now have the opportunity to tap into a greater version of yourself, so that you can actually create wealth in your life and create wealth for the world. And let me give you an example. Let me explain deeper, right? Right now, in this present moment, as I'm speaking, as you're watching this video, there are two versions of you that exist. There is a poor version and there is a wealthy version, right? This poor version is wealthy, abundant version. Both of these versions of you exist at the same time, simultaneously. The problem or the obstacle that most people face is that they've only ever really known the poor version of themselves. That is a version that they've been accustomed to. That is the version that is always available and present to them. That's the version that they always step into, which is why they remain in the position that they are, rather than tapping into the wealthy and abundant version of themselves. And now let me explain. Because being broke, there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke just means you don't have any money right now. Being poor is a mentality. It is a mindset. It is believing that you are at the mercy of the world, that you are at the mercy of the economy, you are at the mercy of the job market, that it's not your fault for where you're at. It's right. You just find every excuse in the world for why you can't win, for why you haven't succeeded, for why you're in the position that you're in. These are the people that they're in, when most people would deem a horrible spot, right, in life. And they'll believe that it's not their fault, that they were just one of the people that were just born unlucky, that, wealth and success and abundance is just not meant for them. When that is all false. That is all incorrect. The wealthy version of you is someone that understands and can accept that they are great. This is someone that takes responsibility for their life, and regardless of how bleak their situation might look, they still smile and laugh, knowing that they have all the power in the world to create the situation that they want. That they'll look at their current situation and say, you know what? I attracted this, I created this. And that's okay, because just as though I was able to attract and create this situation, I can also attract and create the desired situation, right? The position that I want to be in. And I can make that new position possible. That is someone that is wealthy. That is someone that's abundant. The wealthy version of you understands and accepts that you were born rich. And the reason why you weren't in fact born rich, this is factually true. This is not my opinion. And I'm going to explain why it's factually true. You were born rich because you have access to the ability to create. You have access to a mind that not only allows you to think and you have a logical mind, right? But you have access to an imagination that can create anything up here in your mind. And what you need to remember is that everything on this planet that you can see, with the exception of nature, was created in the mind of man. It was created in someone's mind. Every object that you see, from a car, from a house, from glasses, from a computer, from a notebook, from a bottle of water, all these things, everything with the exception of nature, was created in the mind of man. Someone had an idea and they were able to create that thing, which then they were able to sell and effectively create wealth using their mind. So you have access to that same power, that same imagination, that same everything. And these inventions and all these things, the world was created, like, of course, minus nature, right? Everything that exists in the world is created by people that are no smarter than you. So you have access to that same power. So this is why factually you were born rich, because you can use your imagination to help solve problems. You can use your imagination to provide value, create value, and deliver value to the world, to the masses. So you were given that gift for free. You were given that power since birth. And most people just have not stepped into that. Most people have not tapped into that side of themselves, have not tapped into the wealthy side. And that's why they struggle to experience wealth, because all they know is the side of poverty. All they know is the side of feeling powerless, feeling worthless, feeling not good enough. But someone that's wealthy accepts that they're powerful, accepts that their potential is infinite, that they can be, do, or have anything. This is the wealthy side. And when you tap into the wealthy side, that's when you can begin creating wealth for yourself and for the world. And this is how you begin changing your circumstances, right? So the wealthy person will look at their circumstances and laugh, because they know that it's only temporary and that it's subject to change. That is not a life sentence. Whereas the poor person will look at the situation and say, man, I've been in this position for a lot of time and it hasn't changed. Therefore, this is who I am and this is what I'm worth and this is all I'm good for. When the wealthy person will never think that way, because the wealthy person knows that they can be, do, or have anything, right? This is what I mean when I say that your circumstances and your conditions, that one, they're not permanent, and two, they work for your advantage. They're working in your favor. You can use anything and everything that happens in your life to your advantage. And the reason why this is beneficial is because this is why your life will be the greatest story ever written, because you will be someone that will use everything to your advantage. You will look at all these obstacles and all the adversities and everything that comes up into your life, and you smile, because you know that all this is doing is bringing out the best version of you, right? In order for you to have a great story, you obviously, ideally, would have to overcome great monsters, right? Great obstacles. You would probably have to slay the really big dragon at the top of the tower. You know how, like, in the movies where the princess is being saved and then the guy has to go to the top of the tower and like slay the dragon to get her, right? If you want a great story, an epic story, you will likely have to slay the dragon, or you will likely have to slay many dragons along your way. That is going to add to your story. See, most people, the second they see the dragon, they'll run away, or most people won't ever get past the dragon. But if you want to have a great story, you will look at the dragon and smile and be excited, knowing that this is going to be part of the journey, that you will slay the dragon in order to get to wherever it is that you're going. This is going to be part of your life story. And you have the power to decide, right? If the dragon is like one of the final bosses, right? You have the power to decide if you want to show up, you know, as level 100, right? Max level with full armor to fight the dragon, or if you want to show up level 1 without any armor and without any equipment, right? You have the power to decide how you want to show up. The people who get really far in life, the winners, those who are triumphant, these are the people that understand that when times get hard, they have to remind themselves that this is going to be part of the journey, and this is going to be part of their great story, the epic story that they're going to one day tell other people. And if you want the story to be epic, you need to have epic monsters. You need to have epic obstacles, right? A lot of us ask, you know, God, the universe asks to be courageous, right? If you want to be courageous, you need to have something in front of you that's scary, that really makes you tremble, so that when you can overcome that, that's how you're able to effectively experience the courage that exists within you. You need worthwhile opponents. You need worthwhile obstacles. So stop looking at all these things that happen in your life as bad things when they're there, so that you can tap into a side that you probably didn't even know existed within you, and bring out that new, better version of yourself so that you can overcome whatever it is that's put in front of you. That's how you need to see it. That's how you need to look at it, right? Rather than looking at your situation and you being broke and looking at your bank statement and seeing $500 and thinking, damn, that's all I'm worth. Like, that's all I'm good for. That's the poor person mentality right here. The wealthy person will look at that and laugh and say, it's crazy to think that this bank or the world thinks that I'm only worth $500. It's crazy to think that a lot of people wrote me off. But guess what? I am going to overcome all challenges and all obstacles. And then once you do that, right, everyone else is then able to see you do that. Everyone else is then able to say, man, I want to be like Joel. I want to be like this person, right? You will effectively be the benchmark. You will be the gold standard for other people. Like, damn, man, Joel did it. I could do it too. And of course, once again, there's going to be a time where you're going to be much older and you're going to look back in your life and you want it to be a life that was filled with a lot of adventure. A life where you, like, let's say everyone started, like, let's just say we equate this to a race and everyone is at the starting point, but you unfortunately have to start 30 feet behind everybody else, right? Most people will say this is an unfair race because I don't get to start at the same point as everyone. Rather than you thinking or believing it's an unfair race, guess what? All you need to do is just work on yourself and get better so that you can end up being the fastest person on the track. And even if you start 30 feet behind everybody else, that you still completely blow them out in the race, right? You just have to better yourself and grow and improve to the point where you get so much better that life by default becomes easy because you've gotten better, right? That you don't become fazed by any of the obstacles or the challenges because they were put there for your betterment. They were put there for your growth. They were put there so that you can experience the true side to you, right? How do you know that you have a wealthy side to yourself if, let's just say, you were born into a wealthy family where you can have access to everything and you don't have to lift a finger, right? It will be hard for you. Like, let me give you an example, right? For us, it's easier for us to be grateful for things when we no longer have those things, right? And an example is that when you're sick and your nose is clogged and you can't breathe out your nose, you miss being able to breathe out your nose, and you're grateful and appreciative of being able to breathe out your nose the moments when you're sick and you can't breathe out your nose, because then you get to experience how much of an inconvenience it is to be sick and to have your nose clogged and not be able to breathe, right? If all you've known is wealth, because my early times as a kid, there were times where, financially things were tough, right? And I used to say, well, why couldn't I be one of those people that were just born into a wealthy family and not have to worry about it? But as I've gotten older, I stopped thinking that way because I told myself, man, if I was in that position, life would be kind of boring, because then it's like there wouldn't be any sort of journey for me to go on, because I would already be born into it, and then I wouldn't have to lift a finger for anything. And I would never learn the value of a dollar. It would not be fun. But being put in a position where, you come from humble beginnings, the journey from beginning there, right, being 30 feet behind the starting point from everyone else, and then still winning the race, that is what's going to truly be meaningful. That journey. This is what I mean when I say a great story, of having an epic story. It's it's appreciating and accepting whatever situation you're in, whatever obstacles gets thrown your way, and even accepting the bigger the obstacle is, getting even more excited because you know that you're going to triumph over it. That there's going to be a big dragon and you're going to slay that dragon. And if there's a big dragon that gets slayed and you're the one that slays it, then by default, you have to be an amazing person. You have to be an epic hero in your story because it takes so much to even do that, right? This is why your life story will be the greatest story ever written, because you are going to experience obstacles. You are going to experience adversity. There's probably times where you're going to have to walk through a path of fire, right? And guess what? You'll still make it out on the other side. And you'll still do it with a smile on your face, knowing that everything was to your benefit, that everything was put in front of you. All these obstacles and adversity will put in front of you so that you can be better, so that you can triumph over it, so that you can experience your true self. How do I know if I'm courageous if I never slayed a dragon or never slayed a boss, right? If I just killed, you know, the little monsters in the forest. How do I know if I'm courageous, right? If there's, the little pigs running around and the level 1 pigs and I'm able to slay them, right? It's like, how do I know that I'm courageous? How do I know if I'm great, if I have it within me, if I have not come across a worthwhile opponent, a worthwhile adversary, right? There's no way for me to know, right? So I need to experience the big obstacles so that I know that I'm courageous, so that I know that I'm great. This is how we as fans, if you watch sports, this is how fans are able to determine someone else's greatness, because they're able to look at specific athletes and see who were the athletes that they had to compete against and beat on their journey to winning, on their journey, right? And that is how we determine athletes as being great, when they were able to beat the rest of the competition on their way to succeeding, right? When there's two guys who are the two top guys and no one knows who's gonna win, and then one guy beats the other one, right? Then you're like, wow, this dude is great, because this was an even battle. It was a 50-50, right? These two guys were equally matched. That is how greatness is determined. If there's someone that's never been challenged whatsoever, then it's like, how do you ever get to experience your own greatness, right? You won't be able to. And so this is why you want to appreciate everything that comes your way. This is why the obstacles and the challenges and the conditions you face, one is all temporary, but one is all subject to change. And it can all change once you decide to get better, once you decide to bring out the best version of yourself. And when things get hard, you just need to tell yourself that your life story will be the greatest story ever written. Doesn't matter what the obstacle is. It doesn't matter what comes your way, right? You just want to keep pushing forward and keep putting one foot in front of the other, because all of these obstacles were put on purpose so that you can experience yourself, so that you can tap into the greatness that exists within you, so that you can tap into the wealthy side that exists within you, so that you can become someone that you haven't been before, so you can do things that you didn't think you were capable of doing and accomplishing, so that you can arrive at your desired destination. This is how an epic story is written, and this is how your story will be written. So this is why I truly believe that your life story will be the greatest story ever written, because you will not fold. You will not fall to the ground. There might be times where you get knocked down, but you're going to get right back up. Most people in this lifetime unfortunately falter, and they just accept their life as it is. And the select few who decide to just not accept things for what it is and decide to pursue what it is that they want and go after it wholeheartedly, those are the people that truly win. Those are the people that experience true success in life, true happiness in life, when they chase after that goal and the dream with a purpose, because then their life becomes meaningful. Then the challenges and the adversity and everything was worthwhile this entire time, because you've made something and you become someone out of nothing. And this is how it all works. So whatever comes your way, always approach it with a smile. Always approach it with the right attitude, because remember, nothing happens to you. It happens for you. It happens for your betterment, for your growth. It happens so that you can bring out the best version of yourself that's always existed inside of you that you just didn't know all the time that was there, right? Even if you're struggling, it doesn't matter what it is, but even if you're struggling financially, right? There's a poor version of you and a wealthy version of you that exists. Most people are stuck and trapped in their poor version. You can tap into the wealthy version. If it's health, there's an unhealthy version of you and a healthy version of you. Most people are stuck with the unhealthy version of themselves. You can tap into the healthy version of you, which is that beast that exists within you, that person that's always going to be on go, that person that's going to go make it happen and not have any excuses, person that's just going to just go hard and just go ham on everything, right? All of these versions of you exist, and you can only experience these versions of you once you have the obstacles and the adversity in front of you. So this is how it all works, right? Your life story will be the greatest story ever written because you will be the one to slay the dragon. Every family, every generation deserves and needs at least one person to do it. And what better person for that to be than for it to be you, right? So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to 1 million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.